So I'd like to introduce you to our visiting speaker, very special guest, Dr. Keshav Anand. He's a medical doctor who became a full-time traveling teaching monk. He has a website, if I get it right, it's scienceandvedas.com. That's one of his websites, and puredevotionalservice.com too. And so he deals a lot with many intellectual fields and presenting the Vedic philosophy and culture to students all around the world. So we're glad to have him here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I'm going to talk about today is about chemical formula of life. That's the topic. So it might seem a little odd, but I'll tell you what I'm up to. Okay, so maybe I'll just offer prayers, that's all. Om Jnana-Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmaya Shri Gurave Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Videshimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Namaste Saraswati Devi Gurvani Pracharine Nirvisheshunayadi Vaishnavesharine Shri Bhakti. So, I'm going to talk today about life and a specific topic on chemical formula of life. You see, by the way, by profession I was a doctor, physician, before coming to Krishna Consciousness, and also I was doing some kind of genetic research. I was on that. So my service is to talk to scientists. That's what I do, and help them to appreciate the scientific aspect of spirituality and also our Vedic scriptures. So what is the best topic if you want to talk about with scientists and scientific community and spirituality? One of the common topics is life, because we are all dealing with life, and science is also trying to understand life, but in a very different way. You see, science has little changed over the period of years. 100 years back, science was different thing and philosophy was different, because they separated long ago. Perhaps after Newton or maybe even Einstein. They just got separated. Philosophy was a different field, life, science was different. Scientists, even now, they don't care about philosophers, basically. But philosophers when philosophers say, well, without philosophy we cannot do good science. Now, there's a debate going on, but science and philosophy are coming together now, because science is now encroaching upon those questions which were with philosophy. Or we say some metaphysical questions. What is life? That was left to philosophers to wonder about. Or what is the origin of universe? That was for philosophers. For science at the time of Newton was machines, laws of nature, and then machines. So there was a split, but they're coming together. And that's the problem, because science has a different take on all these questions, and philosophy has a different take. But in philosophy, I would like to also include spirituality. So, what is life? Let's talk about that. So, one way to define life is scientifically to define life. What is life? According to biology or physics or science, life is chemicals and molecules, isn't it? Or perhaps let's say better than that, information. That is the new understanding of science, information. Of course, I mean to say, you can say life is an energy, but then energy and molecules and all this is information. So, the whole history of science, they have been trying to understand what is life in its essence, and they reduced. This is the term used in science, reduce. So I guess you understand this term, reduce. You reduce or you break up life into components, and they were thinking, okay, they reduced life to molecules, then to atoms, and then to chemicals, and then to structure of the molecules, and then to genes, life is genes, and then to information. That's where we are now. Now science is dealing with the question, what is life? That is basically, let's say that is more of a morphological question. What is life? Okay, what is this phone? So it's a device. Fine, it's a device. But then in philosophical way, if we say what is life, that by that we don't mean what is the composition of life. By that we mean how do you lead your life, isn't it? Just like we say to people, how is your life going on? But that we don't mean how is your life going on means how are your molecules going on. That's the point there. It's a different sense altogether. It's a journey of your life. So what is the meaning of life? There are two meanings of life. One is, let's say one is ontological, another is morphological. That is functional meaning of life. How do you lead your life? And another meaning of what is life, you can answer it another way. What is the composition of life? You see the point? So biologists try to say life is molecules, or maybe if you little stretch the limits of science might say life is consciousness. But well, that consciousness is produced by brain and neurons. That much science can say. But philosophy, when you come to life, what is life? Then in philosophy we answer this. We mean how do you lead your life? You see the point? Now, here's a problem now. This much is clear? Is it okay? This is clear to all of us. But here's the problem. The problem is how does defining life makes our living life different. The concept of life we have in our mind that will decide how we live our life. That's how this goes. So if you think, according to science, we are machines basically, and chemicals. Machines made of chemicals and molecules, isn't it? That's all. We are machines. We are complex machines. We are even more complex than supercomputers. We are maybe not made of silicon or circuits or maybe something. We are made of carbon, but nevertheless we are machines. That's all. That's pretty much the take of science on humanity. But if you think like that, there's a problem. If you think life is machines and we are machines, we are chemicals, this leads us to live a life in a very different way, and it matters a lot. You know what? How it does matter? It matters. If you think we are molecules, chemicals, and machines, what will happen is our whole lifestyle will be very different. And we are all living that, by the way. Everybody is living that lifestyle. What is happening is, we have a terminology, machine culture. You know, it's machine culture. There was a big Nobel Prize winner, Friedrich Hayek. He was a sociologist, and he got a Nobel Prize, Friedrich Hayek. And he wrote a book, Counter-Revolution, something I think like that, the views of reason and logic. And he got a Nobel Prize. Basically, he said that, well, this is a machine culture. And what happens in machine culture is because people are thinking we are machines, they like to be with machines. You see, if you think you're machines, you will like to be with machines, isn't it? Because you're machines. And because you're machines, you will like to be with machines which are more superior than you. That's how it goes. So if suppose you're a monkey, you like to live with monkeys, isn't it? It goes like that. If you're a fish, you will like to live with fish. That's how it will go. That's how. So like, what's that saying in English? Birds of same feather flock together. It's like that. So if you think you're a machine or chemicals, you will like to live with machines, and we are living in a machine culture. we have made a wall of machines around us. That's what happens. Now what is happening? We have made a wall. If you want to talk to anybody, you talk through Facebook. You're not going to call him. Nobody's going to call him. It's just ding. You have put a machine in between two humans. Because you're machines. Doesn't matter. He's also a machine, by the way. He's a machine, we are machine, we are chemicals, so it doesn't matter. Just put a machine between Facebook or maybe WhatsApp. So we have made big walls of machines around us, and we are not in touch with humanity directly through machines, through maybe Skype or computers and this and that and that. In fact, we are scared to talk to people directly. That's how it has come to be. It has come to be. People don't even know how to deal with people. And that's why there are relationship problems, isn't it? Because they don't exactly understand when human and human comes together without an interface of machine, what to do with that. How to deal with that situation. And then people have relationship problems, and there are divorces, and there are blah blah blah. There are so many things. Because we are not trained to deal with humans. We are trained to deal with machines. That is the problem there. And that's why what is happening is people want to replace humans. That's where the story has gone out of hands. People want to, scientists want to bring home robots. In Japan is now basically full of, the industry is full of robots. You know that by the way, isn't it? You all know, no? Do you know Sophia?
Mm-hmm.
So, everybody knows her? Oh, she's a home robot, let's say.
She's scary.
Yeah, she can talk, she can do things. There are other robots like Emma. She's one of them. They are basically sex robots also. You can do anything. Like they can talk, they can walk, they can do anything for you, and that's all. And you can then, in the night you can shut them or you can open them. You can do whatever with them. They're in full control of you. They are replacing humans, and they have no problem with that. But the problem here is, you see, the problem here is, it's almost like that. The problem here is artificial happiness. That's another term which Frederick Hayek brought. If you are with machines, you feel happy, of course. You feel happy, isn't it? The smartphone, oh, Samsung, iPhone 10X, or maybe whatever they recently launched, 10X Max. Definitely, machines are enchanting. You have a complex machine outside, everybody will go and have a look. If there's an alien flying saucer, it's nice, there are lights and it's complex and it appeals. The complexity in itself appeals to us. The complexity, the speed, the accuracy, you see the point there? The technology, it appeals. But the point is, and we feel happy, but that is artificial happiness because that is dependent on the machine. That happiness is not from within you. Once the machine goes, your happiness goes. That's how it comes. Even in the field of medicine, because I'm a doctor, we meet so many patients who are depressed, who have psychological problems, and in fact, those problems are increasing day by day. By the way, out of every 50, I think this is the latest census according to British Medical Journal. Out of every 5, 1 is having a mental problem. So how many people are there in this room? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There is people having mental problems. Out of every 5, that's a very big ratio. People are mentally diseased. And what happens is, generally of all psychiatric problems, if you go to any psychiatrist or any psychologist, psychology basically reduced to psychiatry now. People give medicines. If you go to anyone else, they'll give you medicines, and those medicines will remove depression and all these things, and you'll feel okay. But the point is pills. You have heard this point, pills. It's all pills. If you feel weak, you take a pill. If you feel depressed, you take a pill. If you want to get energized, you take another pill. This is called pill culture. it's machine culture. And what happens is, by doing this is, people feel good, but at the same time, there is a flip side to it. And that Frederick Hicks said. He said that, you know what, there's a problem there. You might feel good, but then you lose the chance to introspect or see within yourself your own dark desires, which are causing the problem in the first place. You mask the problem by the pill for some time. But there are some kind of frustrations and dark desires within you which are causing depression or maybe unenthusiasm or these mental problems, and then you have masked it. And that's why he said it's artificial happiness. It's same. Similarly, it goes with machine culture. Similarly, if you're feeling unhappy, what do? People go and see movies, isn't it? If you have some relationship problem, if you have a problem with a human, you take shelter of a machine, and you go to entertainment, maybe a Casio or movies. But what is happening is it entertains you by making you forget your problem and not exactly solving your problem. It's not solving the problem. It cannot solve the problem. It's just making you forget the problem, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And that's the problem with machine culture. So that's how it goes. In machine culture, we deal with machines, we live with machines, we like machines. Perhaps one day we become machines. That's all. Becoming machines means we lose the sense of love and feelings. We lose it slowly. We lose a sense of responsibility, which is very unique to humans. We lose a sense of creativity, which is again unique to humans, by the way. And I'll talk about this in just a minute. But the whole point is, machine culture is having a very different impact on our lives, which is happening today. We have lost all these things. We have lost creativity. Humans are different, isn't it? Humans have creativity, and feelings, and morality and responsibility, and it's all gone. So you see how it goes. So that's about machine culture. But if we switch from machine culture to humans, if we think we are not chemicals, we are not machines, we are something beyond machines, then everything changes. The way you live your life, it changes. And that's where spirituality comes in. We understand we are not machines. This body is machine, but we are more than machines. That's how it goes. This body is made of chemicals, but we as the person is not chemicals. We understand that. And when you understand that, then you start focusing. You still might use machines, but you don't focus on them. Then you don't put a wall of machine between two humans. You start respecting life as it is. Because you understand life is different from chemicals, molecules. It has to be respected. It is sacred. Then you start understanding life. Then you start interacting with humans. You want to remove the wall of machines. You like humans, basically. And then you start training yourself how to deal with a human. That's where the role of culture comes. Culture trains you how to deal with humans. You see, the whole focus of the personality and civilization is changing. Just by understanding we are not this body. We are not this body. This body is made of chemicals and molecules, of course, but we are not just this machine, we are something else. And it brings culture. With culture brings the sense of responsibility, which is unique to humans. Brings a sense of sacrifice. Machines cannot understand what sacrifice, isn't it? And so today I was talking also that all these movies, Terminator, Genesis, this Avengers and all these are basically made based on artificial intelligence and machines and this. You see, all the movie theme is just one. You make a machine, it goes out of control, and then it wants to destroy the world, and there is one human who wants to save the planet. Ultimately, you need a human to save the planet from machines. Machines will not save the planet. Machines have no sense of sacrifice. So you see, these things are very unique to humans. And this uniqueness of human we are losing. We are not focusing on this. And that's the whole problem. We have problems not concerned with machines now. We have problems concerned with humans now. And society is getting into problem. So what to do? The point is what to do. What to do in such a situation? The first thing we should do is, okay, let me tell you what to do. There's a solution, whole solution to this. Basically not a blind solution that you have to follow some religion. No, come on. I'll not propose that. It's a very sectarian and narrow way of thinking. The whole solution for humanity, it must be broad and a very logical and non-sectarian program. And the solution is, the first solution is you have to understand what is the difference between man and machines. That you have to understand. There's a difference between humans, us and machines. There is a difference. We differ. In spite of the fact everybody is trying to convince us that there's no difference. Scientific community is trying to convince us they are just into it. AI people, all AI department, MIT. So I've been to Boston recently and I was talking to some physicists. No, MIT madam. I talk to them regularly, so I was talking to them and you see the whole AI department, their whole focus is to actually convince people that, well, you are nothing more than chemicals and machines, that's all you are. So I finally told him, do you find this concept intuitively correct? That's what I asked him. It's not, okay fine, forget science. Do you find this concept intuitively correct? He said, well, intuitively if you ask me, I don't feel like that. No scientist will feel like that, even if he's like, even if he doesn't believe at all in the concept of consciousness and soul and whatever. But he said, well, reality is different. And no matter how much reality is ghastly or maybe harmful, we have to be in reality. That's the take of science now, by the way. And so it's a little dangerous thing, but it's like that. Dawkins says like that. You know Dawkins now, Richard Dawkins. Richard Dawkins. So he's a biologist. And he says, well, he has come up with the concept of selfish genes. You know this? We are all selfish people. And selfishness promotes evolutionary progress. We are selfish, that's all. Evolution means survival of the fittest. So, and the whole society should be based on the concept of evolution, and that's where the problem is coming. And the problem is, if you think in this concept, in this line, survival of the fittest, then there's a whole problem. Then you will lead your life eliminating people who are not fit. And that was the problem with Hitler. Hitler has his own problems, had his own problems, whatever, but he was so largely influenced by eugenics. You know eugenics? Mm-hmm. He was greatly influenced. Eugenics is basically based on evolutionary concept. So the point I am making is your thinking defines your life. That's the whole point. The way you think about yourself, that will define the path of your life. So we have to first understand who we are. How do we think about ourselves? That's where life begins. Life doesn't begin, how do you think about others? That will not help you. And that's what whole life we are doing. Whole life we have been thinking about so many things, but we never thought about ourselves. That's how it goes. We never thought about ourselves. And that is basically Gita talking, that is illusion. That is Maya basically. But we talk about Maya and illusion, it's not a big concept, Maya, and there's a magic happening. The point is, we are not thinking about ourselves. We are involved. Why? Because this machine culture have actually glamorized us. It has absorbed our mind. You know, these are nice things. It's a nice piece of, this is a nice toy, and children like toys. And you know what, I mean, Gita, Krishna says in Gita, people are children in an adult body. That's all. We are all like children. Our bodies have grown, but our mind is still a child. Because a man is defined according to scriptures. A man is a person who understands who he is, who first thinks about himself. He is a man, and then others. If you can't think about yourself, how will you think about others? Isn't it? If you can't help yourself, how will you help others? It doesn't make any sense. That's why any king, any leader, he's first trained not in politics and not in social, cultural manipulation or training. No, nothing like that. He's first taught how to control his mind. That's the first teaching. Who are you? That's what one philosopher, Ludwig Wittgenstein, you know Ludwig Wittgenstein? The philosopher, he said, well, there are so many things in this world, but ultimately only two questions matter. That's all. And the two questions is, what is the meaning of life? And the next question is, who are we? That's all. All other questions are corollary or secondary. If we don't have answers to these questions, we'll neither do justice to our life nor to others. So the first point which we must do, and we should help others do, is understand the difference between man and machines. And there is one difference, one big difference. Can anybody tell what's the difference between man and a machine? What's the difference? Having this concept, having seen this word that almost everything is simulated now. Isn't it? Artificial intelligence, they're trying to simulate everything. But there are some differences between man and machine which cannot be simulated. It's impossible. We even don't know how to simulate that. We even don't know what is the meaning of simulating those things in human to machines. We even don't understand. So, what is the prime difference between human and machines? What's that?
Consciousness.
Okay, well, yeah, fine, consciousness. But I don't want to introduce this term consciousness because it's very abstract. Some practical
bias.
words, it's like something we can relate to.
People.
Hunger?
Yeah.
People
Okay.
have the tendency to seek out a higher form, being God, and machines don't. They have that inquisitive nature.
Okay, yeah, okay, fine. So inquisitiveness, yeah.
Desire.
Desire, yeah. Machines don't have desire.
Circumstantial bias.
Circumstantial biases, yeah. All those things. Can you put this succinctly, to say, because...
Personality.
The soul?
Personality.
The soul is okay. The soul, yeah, of course the soul, definitely. But then I have to ask you, how do you define the soul? Then I have to ask you another question, what do you mean by soul, and how the soul is different from human? Your answer begs another question.
Humility.
So I want to answer which doesn't beg any other questions. Fun.
Personality.
So yeah, there are three differences between humans and machines. All scientists agree at this point of time. I'm not saying this, basically. I'm giving you the answer which scientific community will accept. If you tell scientific community soul, they will not accept. You see the point there?
Mm-hmm.
They say, we don't talk about it. Consciousness, they might. It's the same page, they might talk. But they will talk if probably that scientist is in neuropsychological field. If he's a physicist, he will not even talk. He will not entertain. So you want to talk to a physicist and a computer scientist who are really into this field and who want to convince us that we are machines. There are three things which are different from machines. And in fact, one philosopher and computer scientist, Hubert Dreyfus, you can go and have a look about him. Hubert Dreyfus, he is from MIT. He wrote a book, Computers Cannot. Computers Cannot Think. He wrote a book. Computers cannot think. Hubert Dreyfus. And then This was in 1970s and 1960s something, when MIT was trying to make this chess program Deep Blue. You know this Deep Blue? And there this whole concept. We'll make a program, algorithm, which can defeat a chess champion master. And if you can defeat a human in chess, this means our machines are thinking, because chess needs thinking. And that's all. And one of the crucial point of humans is thinking. So the point he did was, but Hubert Trappist wrote, well, you're crazy, you can't never. Machines can never think. The machines can juggle some kind of data. Isn't it? That's what a machine is doing. Juggling some data due to some kind of due to some randomization processes and statistical balancing and maybe feedback loops. We were talking about that. It can do that, but
If then functions. If then functions.
Yeah, all these things. And that's all basically. If you open a machine, it's just some chips and electrical circuits. But it cannot think, he said it cannot think. And then after 10 years, he again wrote a book, what computers still cannot do. He wrote, he wrote a book, what computers cannot do. And after 10 years of this, after 10-20 years, then again he wrote a book, what computers still cannot do. Computers can never think. Thinking in the sense, humans have a very different kind of thinking. Machines can simulate thinking in the matter of mathematics, isn't it? Computers we can calculate maybe 1 second. Computers can calculate the same thing in milliseconds. Their speed and accuracy is very fast. So machines can do that, but machines cannot think creatively. That's the whole point. No machine can produce Einstein or replace Einstein. No machine can replace Darwin. Because they didn't give us formulas and mathematics and algorithms and logic, they gave us an idea, a concept. And all computer scientists say the machines can symbolize. You see, they can symbolize something, symbolic. They can perceive something through sensors, but they cannot conceptualize. There's no concept. You can put some data and those kind of data you can maybe randomly juggle, come out with some possibilities and suggestions, but then using those suggestions you have to make a concept that machines cannot come. No machine can tell you that there's a concept called as space-time curving. You see, that's Einstein. So that is called creativity. Machines cannot be creative. Machines cannot feel. What about that? Can machines feel? Come on. Nobody even understands what's the meaning of this question. Can machines feel or not? You don't have even any equation to start with to make an algorithm of feeling or love. You don't know how to do that. So for love, you don't have alpha, beta, theta. What do you put in that equation? You can't. Love is a different thing. And machines cannot be moral and responsible. And machines cannot. You feel and they do. That's all. They can go haywire, but responsibility is a different thing. So these three things are very different from machines and humans. Thinking, feeling, and willing. That's what is it. That's what Gita had been telling us 5,000 years back. That's what Vedas tell us. Thinking, feeling, willing. That's what Upanishads have been talking about. You know about Upanishads, no? The age-old Vedic knowledge Upanishads. They're talking about there is a unique soul. We were talking about soul. The soul has a capacity to think. Here, think doesn't mean calculate. Here, think means creativity. Soul has a capacity to create, creativity, feel, and then third thing is will. That is, will means what is your free will, morality and responsibility. So you see the point? That's very interesting. Now you have understood what is human and what is machine. These things cannot be replicated because you don't know what to do. You can replicate those things in machines which you can put in the logic, isn't it? You can, whatever you can understand by logic and mathematics, you have to give that logic a language of mathematics, isn't it? And then you have to put it in computers. Algorithms, it's based on numbers. But these things cannot be understood logically. Neither can be put in a mathematical framework. And neither you have any algorithm for that. So how do you replicate it into machine? You can't do that. What about beauty? Is there an algorithm for beauty? No. These things are different realities, by the way. Different realities altogether. If you understand we are humans and we have these three things which are not there in machines, what we are going to do is all civilization and humanity will try to focus on this concept, not on machines. Then we will not try to make advanced technology. We will try to make advanced souls, advanced humans who are trained in creativity, who are trained in dealing with feelings, who are trained in how to be responsible. It's a very different take, Then civilization, you train your creativity by skills. Skills, as art, music. And skills is different and formal education is very different thing. You train your feelings by culture. And you train your sense of morality. You train your feelings through spirituality. And you train your sense of morality through culture. So a civilization which understands man is different from machines, that will focus on culture and spirituality and skills. A culture which is based on machines and they think we are machines, they will focus on technology. They will focus on algorithms. They will focus on apps. The whole focus is different and the result is very different. Very, very different. So that's what we got to understand properly, that what is the difference. Now you see the point, if we understand what is machines and what is different between machines and humans, we get a good insight, and now by this we know where to focus on. And then also, you see the point, in our scriptures there's a concept, Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. You know this? Have you heard this? I know somebody might have heard India. Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. It's a famous Upanishadic concept. And Upanishad says this is civilization. Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. It is same thing. Satyam means original creativity. Shivam means auspiciousness, that is feelings. And Sundaram means Shiva means auspiciousness, that is morality, right and wrong. And Sundara means beauty, that is feelings. So Upanishads always tell any civilization which has to succeed, it has to be based on these three principles: Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. Truth, auspiciousness and beauty. Any civilization which is not focusing on these three things, it is doomed to be destroyed. Definitely. And which civilization will focus on this? That civilization is going to focus on these three concepts. That civilization which understands that we are different from our bodies. We are not machines. Otherwise, we will not focus on them. So that's what first we have to do. Second thing is, what we have to do is, you see the point just now I told, machines, I just told feelings, creativity and responsibility cannot be put into machines, isn't it? I just explained to you. You don't have algorithms and logic and mathematics for that. Can you conclude something from this? Can anybody think there is some other conclusion of this whole concept, after understanding how man is different from machines in the terms of love, creativity and responsibility, which cannot be put into machines? A whole new paradigm opens for us. And now we can understand that these things cannot be captured by science. You see the point? Anything which science can capture. Science is basically physics, isn't it? Biology was long gone, Chemistry was, nobody thinks about chemistry. Now it's all physics. And physics is basically mathematics, numbers. And maths is basically logic. So anything which can be captured by science, that means you can capture under logic and maths. But these things are beyond science. You cannot capture it. That means there are some things which are beyond science. that means there's something which are beyond logic. So, beauty, feelings, love, responsibility, they are not illogical, they are beyond logic. There's a difference. They are beyond logic, and we have to accept that they are beyond logic. And similarly, there's another term, faith. Now people say you should have faith. Where is the proof of it? Well, where is the logic of it? It's beyond logic. It's beyond logic, that's all. There's something beyond logic. Finished. There's something beyond truth. You have to accept it. Otherwise, okay, fine. Then, precisely that is the reason, because we are all logical. We are trained to think logically, and we are trained to think because we are machines, so we should think logically. That's why nobody knows how to deal with these concepts of love, beauty, and responsibility, and it's all messed up situation. So these are beyond logic. Faith is one thing which is beyond logic. That is why all scriptures tell you have faith, and they don't get logic. Because there's no logic. It's beyond logic. That's all. You have to have faith and then see. You have to fall in love and then see what's love like. Nobody can tell you. Nobody can explain logically. Why should I fall in love with them? It doesn't happen like that. So faith is beyond logic. But so scriptures, either you call it as faith, but our Vedas don't call it as faith, because faith has a whole connotation, a wrong connotation. Faith means blind belief, isn't it? People think like that. So faith, there's another term used for faith, is self-evident truth. Some things are self-evident and they're true. Is there any philosophy student here? Truth. What is truth, basically? If you want to say anything true, then you have to validate it with some evidence. Isn't it? You have to validate your knowledge with some evidence and proof. But then there's some things which are self-evident and true. You don't need evidence for that. For example, if somebody told hunger, you're all hungry, no? There's Prashant now, don't worry about that. We are all hungry. But then I mean to say, I can ask you, well, I'm a scientist and I believe in logic and proof. So okay, we are going to serve your prasadam unless you don't prove you're hungry. Give some mathematical equation and algorithms and proof. No. Nobody asks, because hunger is self-evident. It is self-evident to you all. And no matter how much I try to convince you you're not hungry, you know you are hungry, and you will never be convinced by me that you're not hungry. You know it's true. That is called self-evident truth. Either you call it as faith or you call it as self-evident truth. I am hungry. I believe I am hungry. Yes, I truly believe I am hungry, and I truly believe you can't convince me. That's basically faith, isn't it? Or if you want to leave this word, that's self-evident truth. Some things are self-evident. Love is self-evident truth. A boyfriend, girlfriend, if they fall in love, they fall in love. You no matter how much you try to convince them you're not in love, and hence proved you're not in love. Go on to hell with it. Hence proved what? So that's how it goes. So all these things, you know why these things cannot be captured in science? Because they're self-evident truth. Love, responsibility, creativity, which are very unique to human and humanness. This self-evident truth. Science has got to understand this. And that's the whole problem in a modern age of science. Because we neglect these self-evident truths. Or we sometimes think even the self-evident truths can also be explained in terms of scientific explanations, but nobody knows how to do that. So that's the idea. If you understand the difference between man and machines, and if you have a different take to life, the whole paradigm opens. And that is why second thing is have faith. And not only have faith in these self-evident truths, but also have faith in God, because God is a self-evident truth. You cannot prove the existence of God. You cannot do that. You can suggest the existence of God by some kind of indications in this material world. That Upanishad says. But as far as proof, you can't do that. You can't even prove your own existence, by the way. Can anybody prove his own existence? Do you exist? I don't know. Maybe you're zombies. Who knows? Maybe inside you're dead. And that's zombies, no? How can you prove to me you're not zombies?
Maybe in the Matrix.
Huh?
You may be in the
Yeah, maybe you can't prove this to me. Maybe you're Terminator. So maybe you're like 7th generation Terminator, carbon-based technology, and all these things. God knows. You can't prove to me that you have a sense of existence between you. I have a sense of minus within me, isn't it? And you have a sense of minus within you all. But you can't prove to me that you have that sense. And that's where philosophy of consciousness begins. Zombies and human. That's zombies, man, mind and thinking machines. That's where basically this whole concept of that if you attend a philosophy of consciousness, this is where they'll begin, zombies. Because you can't do that. So you can't even prove to me that you have that sense of I within yourself, and you're not zombies, you're not machines inside. How can you prove the existence of God? You can't do that. And by the way, on the other hand, you know why God made love and beauty and creativity? Why did He make this? Can anybody tell me? Can anybody think? Or only I'm supposed to think? Why did He do that? Why did He make all this self-evident truth? Why did He make something which cannot be captured in logic? Why did He do that? Because to help you understand that there are some things He had made in His image. It is said, no man is made in the image of God. We all hear that. Man is made in the image of God. There is something in man which is self-evident. Because God is self-evident. And what is that? That is this Satyam Shivam Sundaram. So by seeing these things, we can understand if these things are self-evident, there is something which is supremely self-evident. It is beyond all our logic, all our proofs, all our machines, all our science. That is God. And that is why every scripture says, have faith in the existence of God. It is all the logics and proofs, they come secondary. Isn't it? That's the scripture talk. Have faith, have faith, have faith. And then people say, why should I have faith? Well, there's no question. Have it and then see. So it's like that. If you understand God, you start appreciating these things. Because God is a reservoir of beauty, responsibility and creativity. And He's infused His qualities in man, in a soul, which is unique to all of us, which is different from dead matter. And that's what we have to focus, train and advance ourselves. That is called advanced culture, advanced humanity, who trains these qualities in themselves and not other things. Not just keep on polishing machines or collecting machines. That's not the whole point of life. So have faith in God and understand well. What's that? Oh, I was reading Bible and Christ says that you might have heard that. Blessed are those who believe in me without seeing me. You can believe in something when you see something you believe, but then that's obvious.
Not belief, right?
Huh?
It's not belief then if you see something.
Yeah. That is not belief either. But it might be belief also. I mean, it's an illusion. I don't know if it goes like that, but yeah. It no longer is when you believe, yeah.
A lot of times, and this is one of my favorite scriptures of the Bible, I'm going to paraphrase it, but it talks about faith is the sure expectation of things hoped for, although the evident reality has not been realized. Okay? And so when we think about God, I've also heard that God has four main attributes. And that the four main attributes of God is love, power, wisdom, and justice.
Yeah.
And
It's the same thing coming here.
yeah, so as man, we have those attributes where the bunny outside doesn't have all those
Yeah,
attributes.
yeah.
And so, just as a machine we're talking about could easily, the best thing a machine could ever do to ascend is make a clone of itself.
Well, you know what? One scientist, Stephen Baker, computer scientist, he said the best thing a machine can do is to free you up, is to give you time to do swimming and all those things which you like. The other things it will do for you, that's all. And then you can have fun in your life.
But a computer
And it
can't.
makes sense, actually.
Right, and a computer can't improve itself. It has to be designed by someone else to be improved. So you get this computer to this
Right.
computer. But whereas a man can reason and think about what he is, and he can aspire to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he has this reasoning capacity in the sense of creativity and intuition, not reasoning in the sense of mathematical reasoning.
Well, everything about a man can change with one thought. Changing everything about a man and
Yeah,
can change.
yeah, you can take decisions. Machines cannot take decisions. A chess. Yeah, this Stephen Baker, he said, one thing a chess playing program cannot do. It cannot say, I'm bored of it and I don't want to play anymore. People can easily do that. And another, I think there's another computer scientist, what's his name, Haynes Spence, I don't know, he said machines can do most of the things which humans can do by thinking. But what is very difficult or impossible for machines to do is what humans can do without thinking. That they cannot. So that's how they're having a very tough time. But they will happen. Yeah.
That reminds me of so there's an article called On Inspiration in a BBC book,
Okay. Date for.
Consciousness is a Missing Link.
Yeah, consciousness.
And it specifically talks about, so you have, in science you have hypothesis, experiment, and result, but nobody questions if hypothesis is itself scientific. Because hypothesis means you are creating. Like the machine cannot create the hypothesis.
You're right. Machines cannot do that. That's basically a creative idea.
And he gave many examples that great mathematicians or discoverers of amazing mathematical formulas. Like there was something called the zeta function.
Yeah.
which
It's all due to creativity and serendipity. It just came in their mind.
He like popped out of the shower.
Yeah.
And he had knowledge, he had this formula that took a team of world's mathematicians 7 years to submit the proofs of that formula. And they said, well, in his works, it didn't appear that he had knowledge that should have been there to come to that conclusion. He just came to the conclusion. He went from A to Z.
Yeah, most of the things are there. There's even, you know what, some things are beyond proof, by the way. Even in maths, what will you do with maths? What axioms? You know axioms? Mathematics? Axioms are things which you don't prove, you take it like that. For example, 1 plus 1, 2. 1 plus 1 is 2, we accept it. That's all. You don't prove it. Actually, Bertrand Russell wanted to do that. There was a philosopher, Bertrand Russell, a mathematician, and Northfield Whitehead. Their whole project was Principia Mathematica, and they wanted to prove 1 plus 1 is 2. And it took them 200 pages to do that. But still they didn't do. They wanted to prove this through set theory and logic, but they couldn't do. And it took 200 pages, and they were thinking, we should proceed. But then another mathematician came along, Gödel. You know Gödel? Gödel was a friend of Einstein. Basically, people don't know Gödel because he was very shy. But he was a contemporary and a very good friend of Einstein, and he was at par with Einstein. He came up with the theory of Gödel's theorem. You can have a look on Google, Gödel's theorem. And he proved by his theorem, he proved by his theorem that everything cannot be proved. That's a mathematical proof there. It's not a conjecture in a mind. It is not It is not my hypothetical assumption everything cannot be proved. Because if I say everything cannot be proved, then scientists can say, well, in future we can prove. You say that's always there. If we say, okay, this can't be proved, then yeah, future we can do it. But God who said everything cannot be proved, this is a mathematical proof of that. And their whole project crashed. The whole in fact, Bertrand Russell became mad. Because he spent his whole life that everything can be proved, and here is a guy who just finished his whole project and not feel like that he was somewhere. And so maths proves that everything cannot be proved. There are some things beyond proof. And that is your consciousness and God. And the human basis of this human uniqueness, that is beyond proof. So this actually our civilization has been having a disease of asking proof for everything. There's a disease. Give me proof. You see the point? We have this. What's proof? What's proof? Especially youths. I want a proof. Mom, I want a proof. Come on. Everything doesn't have a proof. Life is not like that. And because of this thinking pattern, everything is going crazy. It's gone upside down. Nobody respects anybody. Nobody has good relationships because we need faith is finished. Yeah.
Another axiom is you have so you have a line that's one dimension.
Hmm?
Then you have you have length and then breadth, that's two dimension, and you have width and that's third dimension. But a point is no dimension. But you just accept that a point exists. But
Yeah.
there's no dimension.
Yeah, the point is an
Because
axis.
line starts off with one point.
Point is an axis.
Without, if it's just the point, there's no dimension at all.
There are arguments, but point. What is a point? No, nobody can explain in mathematics. Point is a point. How can you have something without dimension? That's another question. It's a big question. What's the point? It's a philosophical debate going around. What's the point? I don't know.
I did a little short one. Satyam,
Shivam Sundar.
Sundaram. So Satyam, Shivam Sundaram. Is there the correlation Satyam, Shiv, Ananda? That's the Shivam, the right and wrong.
Satchidananda, you can,
Ananda.
You can connect. It's coming from there. Satyam, Shivam. Satyam is Sat. Shivam is Chit. Sundaram is Ananda.
But isn't that meaning of this Satyam Shivam Sundaram is that the truth itself, only truth is all auspicious and all beautiful?
You can know. I mean to say Upanishad things have many meanings. It's not just one meaning. You can take this meaning also, but you can take different concepts out of it. There are many meanings. Every Upanishadic verse has infinite meanings. So this can be one. And then there is another thing.
So in a world where the prestige of mathematics and science and this growth of kind of the physics takeover, at what point does that, this whole Darwinistic mentality that the world's taken on, does it loop back around to a more creationist thought or creationalism thought? Or is another science to come and put more emphasis on these things? How do we proceed forward? Are we just condemned to this machine mentality, or
we have to see? The point is we have to come to a balance. The balance has tipped towards machine culture. It has tipped.
Yeah.
But we have to come to the balance. I mean, we can't say that machines are useless. We are not saying that. We don't say science is bad, but we say scientism is bad. The way they are doing science, that's wrong. Science is okay. I mean, science is natural laws. That's all. I mean, what's the problem in that? There is a lot of science in the Vedas. There is a lot of science in the Vedas. So similarly, machines are not bad. They were machines back then. We had machines. I mean, so we read Vimana Shastra. There were machines and very complicated machines. We have this knowledge. There were machines, anti-gravity machines we were talking, and I've seen the maps of that, by the way. and they were using magnets, and they were using propelling systems there. They were there. But the point is, they were there, but they didn't have a machine culture. You see, they knew that all these machines are there to support, to understand who are we, and not to replace us.
Right.
That's the whole thing there. So I think it's all tipped. The clock is there, the thing. So what we have to do is we have to bring the balance back by giving people knowledge. That's what we are doing here. Who are you? That has to be faced. That question, and put into proper perspective. Science has to be put in its proper place. That's the point there. And then things will come along.
But Prabhu, is that even a worthwhile endeavor? Because so you've seen the movie The Matrix.
Yeah.
So you've read a lot, you've observed the world a lot. So if I were to phrase it very simply, should we try to fix the matrix or should we try to leave the matrix?
Well, the whole concept of matrix is wrong, by the way.
Well, I'm using it as a metaphor.
Yeah, okay, I understand.
Because the purpose of Krishna consciousness, because when you observe the world, there are so many things wrong with it. Where we are, man, machines. This is 200-300 years in the making.
Yeah.
There's a whole host of interconnected, very complex systems.
Yeah.
Where do you even start to fix things? Because if you fix this, unintended consequences.
Well, it's simple. That's what I told. Just entertain these two questions. What is the meaning of life and who are we? That's all. If people can understand just these two questions, everything gets fixed itself. That's what Krishna says in Gita.
Mm-hmm.
Whole Gita, who are you? And then the meaning of life. Meaning of life, basically, it has to be connected with God. There is no other way. There is no meaning of life without absolute truth. And that's all it's all about. Simple. Just two questions, and these two questions are missing. Why? Because the whole concept is wrong. Basis is wrong. And everything will fall. Krishna says everything will fall itself. You don't worry about that. That's why Gita doesn't entertain any other question. You see the point, it's very funny. In scriptures, they don't enter in the question, what is mind? There's no question like that. Arjuna never asked, what is mind? He asked how to control the mind. There's a difference. Our scriptures do not deal with this question, so one wonders, why don't we deal with all these questions here? Because everything will fall in place if these two questions are solved. All philosophers unanimously agree. How it will happen, we might not understand, because it's too complex, we have come too far away. That's why we are saying, but Krishna says it will happen. And you do that, then rest, I'll wait.
So I say that the science is based on the faith that there is some intelligent structure in the universe.
That's true. I mean to say that's true. That there is a.
They don't like the word faith, but it's based on the faith that there's some intelligence.
But there's a book by John D. Barrow. He's a scientist, and he has written a book, Religion as Science and Science as Religion. And all scientists, a good scientist basically, they will agree that there's an element of faith in science. There's an element of faith, and we have to start somewhere.
Science should not be condemned by the limitations of scientists.
Of course, yeah. Science is good, but the way they are doing, that's not proper. And the people who are doing, some people, they are having some lofty thoughts which have no basis, and they're just speaking. That's what they were fighting. Otherwise, our Vedas have a lot of science. Our Vedas have physics. Our Vedas have chemistry. Our Vedas have math. In fact, many scientific concepts are coming from Vedas. Like for example, the concept of 0 and 1, it's coming from India. It's coming basically from Vedas. But the more important thing is the meaning of 0 and 1. That is coming from Vedic knowledge. That people didn't know. And what's the meaning of 0 and 1? That's there in Upanishad. Om Purnamidam Purnamada. Read that verse. Upanishad says Purnam, that concept of complete. Now, how do we denote complete? The sense of completeness as a number, that is 1. The sense of emptiness as a number, that is 0. the sense of infinite as a number. What do you do with that? That is basically infinity. They came up with this concept. But what is infinity? In fact, people have become mad, literally mad, to deliberate what is infinity. Cantor became mad. We all know that. But that's the whole point. The meaning of science, Vedas have given that. And people have been using the meaning to make machines, in fact. I mean to say computers are made of 0 and 1. Now what is 0, what is 1? There are no numbers there. There are charges. Isn't it? There are charges. And that's all, there are charges. So 1 is some charge above limitation, complete charge. 0 is null charge. There is no charge. But those meanings, though their reality is interpreted in the form of mathematics, these meanings are given by scriptures long ago. So in that sense, science is coming from Vedas. You see the point there? So we can't say science is bad. That's wrong. You're right. That's wrong. That's what I was explaining. That's all. We have to change the concepts. That's all. A way to look at science, a way to look at humans, a way to look at this world. Our whole conceptual understanding is wrong. That's what Gita will do. So if it's done, if you are all. Anyway, thank you for listening, all of you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay.
I just want to say something and just tell you. Where's my book? Okay. This is a pen drive I made because those are the books. Right? Okay. This is some pen drive. This is a 16 GB pen drive, and I have given many seminars in various universities, Stanford and MIT, and basically I talk to scientists. You might have now judged by now. Right? But this whole talk I've put it on a very low scale. Otherwise, for you it might be French. You might want to be speaking some mathematics or something. But that's okay. But so that's why I present these things. My aim is to present all these complex concepts which is beyond the reach of ordinary man. If you read what we have been talking, if you read in books, you will not understand anything because they will use some words which are beyond our understanding. So anyway, the point is there are so many lectures and videos. There are 300 hours of audios and 16 hours of videos on science, spirituality, Bhagavad Gita, and so many other things. On Gita specifically, we have talked much about Gita, and of course science in Gita and science in Vedas also. Just like I was talking about Om Purnamidam, the concept. So these things are there. If anybody wants this pen drive, you can put in your car, keep on listening, and then you can interact with me. And then there are 2 books. I've written this Science Fails to Explain Life. Much of what I've been talking is in this book. Science Fails to Explain Life. Most of the talk is from this book. And this is one book, Crazy Ideas. Because there's so many ideas here. Crazy ideas. No, crazy ideas. Answering the atheists. That's how it goes. So we have so many ideas of yoga and
Not
aliens. Huh?
Not we, they.
We?
We don't have crazy ideas. They have crazy ideas.
Well, yeah, they have.